have some fallout from the State of the Union. The Republican response to Biden's address got an SNL send-up from this weekend's host, Scarlett Johansson.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of serving the great people of Alabama. But tonight, I'll be auditioning for the part of Scary Mom.
Now, Britt's performance was roundly skewered for what was described as a somewhat artificial delivery style, which differs notably from how she normally sounds.
I am a proud wife and mom of 2 school-aged kids. My daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway are why I ran for the Senate. I'm worried about their future and the future of children in every corner of our nation. And that's why I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America, my husband Wesley and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician who has actually been in office for longer than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure.
Now, criticism for once was pretty bipartisan. Here's Fox News' take on Britt's address.
I want to talk about specifically one anecdote that I've heard you tell before. It is a horrific story of a sex trafficking survivor. Nobody is questioning that the story happened, that she is actually who she is, says she is, and that this happened. The question is about the timing and the implication of you telling the story. The New York Times has this. Right. None of this happened during President Biden's administration, but that didn't stop the first-term senator from strongly implying that the president could have somehow prevented it from happening, using rhetoric that seemed calibrated to inflame public fears about immigration. Did you mean to give the impression that this horrible story happened on President Biden's watch?
No, Shannon, look, I very specifically said this is what President Biden did during his first 100 days. Minutes after coming into office, he stopped all deportations, he halted construction of the border wall, and he said, I am going to give amnesty to millions. Those types of things act as a magnet to have more and more people here. I then said in his first 100 days, he had 94 executive actions. And those executive actions didn't just create the crisis, they invited it. I then contrasted it with my first 100 days. Shannon, I went to the border 3 times in my first 100 days in office. And when I was there, I asked for the real, unvarnished truth. I wanted to sit down. I asked the Border Patrol agents. I asked the people there. I asked the victims, previous victims of drug cartels, tell me what it's like, tell me what we need to do, tell me what we need to know. The truth is, and the media knows this, yet they're not covering it, that human trafficking has gone up under President Biden. If you look back onto 2018, it was a $500 million industry, human trafficking by the drug cartels. It is now.
Now, former Fox News Megyn Kelly also weighed in. Let's take a listen to that.
I don't know what the F I saw. I agree with the people saying she looked like she was auditioning for a show on Lifetime. The drama, the fake affectation, the over-the-top portrayal of emotions I did not believe she was feeling at all. Her inauthenticity, it was totally cringe.
Britt was also forced to respond to some substantive criticism over a specific anecdote in her speech, as we alluded to earlier. She did reference a horrific sex trafficking incident that happened to a woman named Carla Jacinto Romero, ending the section with Biden's border policies are a disgrace. But in fact, those events described happened between 2004 and 2008, which was during the Bush era, and Romero was never trafficked to the United States. So
this was a kind of unique moment in the internet. You know, rarely is the internet so united over things as they were to this particular speech. The take seemed to be that the choice to position herself in a kitchen, to talk about her role as a wife and mother, much more so than her role in government, seemed to suggest a kind of anti-feminist vibe that didn't sit well with some liberal commentators. And then there were people like Megyn Kelly and others. She wasn't alone on the right, who just seemed to find it generally cringe, regardless of whatever gender stereotyping you may or may not read into it. My feeling was that it didn't seem altogether that different than the kind of weirdness that exists in a lot of these response videos, but her getting substantive facts wrong and trying to create the perception that Biden was responsible for a pretty horrific event that this woman suffered, when it just quite simply did not happen on his watch, was the real basis of substantive criticism.
Yeah, look, it seems like it was a bad choice to single out that case of something bad that's border related that happened so long ago. And look, I agree with Megyn Kelly that the performance, I don't know that I would say it was like the worst performance I've ever watched. Yes, it was a little over the top. Being on camera is hard. There was something a little performance-y about how sad and scared she sounded. I didn't mind I think the choice to, frame herself as a mother and be in a kitchen are all perfectly defensible decisions. I know I saw a lot of discourse about the kitchen, or how it's a weird kitchen, or how it's, or it's too fancy. I saw both. I saw it's too fancy. It's not fancy enough. I thought people were going a little crazy. Like, okay, it's a kitchen, whatever. It seems weird to be obsessed over it. These things don't really matter very much, so we're talking about it because it was in the news. I personally did not find the SNL thing funny at all. Maybe that's a defect I have, that I'm not capable of laughing at Saturday Night Live anymore. I adore Scarlett Johansson, but she did a fine job. It wasn't funny to me, and again, the audience just laughing at everything she said. I don't know. I found that more off-putting, frankly, than the original speech. But
I don't know. I didn't watch all of it, but the clips I saw, the send-up seemed pretty good. The facsimile of it was pretty remarkable. They got, whatever you think about the kitchen, SNL nailed the set and the wig and the attire of Scarlett Johansson, and I was kind of impressed by how quickly they turned it around just as a feat of art.
Maybe it's because this senator isn't, this person has not, Britt has not been on TV very much, is not a household name yet. We don't really, we're not accustomed to seeing her face, so I wonder people will think the Scarlett Johansson version might take hold and just be her.
Well, Robby, now she is a household name because she's very much associated with a household, in particular, a kitchen. Let us know what you thought of both the SNL bit and the speech itself in the comments. Stick around. We have a lot more rising coming up right after this.